Hey, this is Jonathan Moore once again. We are here at what's known as Bixler's Burial Ground. They do have a monument right here. This is one of those trips I do not recommend doing. This is private property, but the road is awful. And you can make it. I made it with Chuck, but it's not a good road to go back on. You really need to have something that's got some ground clearance. But there really is not. There's a couple stones here that will show when I flip the camera around. The monument's obviously here, but nothing's. I think it's primarily all field stones. I think the last person that was buried here was 1868, which was the grandson of Peter Bixler. But this is one of those cemeteries that is an early settler farm family cemetery. It's very, very cool to actually have found this, to check this out. So let me flip this around and we will read that off for you. So right here we are. It's in loving memory of the Peter and Barbara Bixler family and their 7 children, Peter Jr., Joseph, Daniel, Christian, Barbara, Anna, and Susanna. Their family burial plot is on this knoll, which is right here. Find my place again, where many of the family were laid to rest. Peter Sr. was an immigrant from Meckville, Switzerland, and arrived as the first Bixler in America on the ship Friendship in October 1727, after almost 4 months in crossing the Atlantic Ocean. Incomplete records do not give dates of the family. Peter, born in 1691, died in 1772. The last family member to be buried here was a 91-year-old grandson, Daniel, born in 1777 and died in 1868.
So as you look through these pictures that I had tried to get a video and something got corrupted and I was not driving back there again. It was one of those things. It's back a long country lane and beautiful area. This beautiful knoll that has all these graves on, but you really have to have a high clearance vehicle to go back there. And Chuck is not a high clearance vehicle, but beautiful, beautiful little burial ground. Cemetery, if you will, or yeah. And it's basically, it was flagstones. It says that there's 8 memorials here, but from what I've read, it really sounds like a lot more of the family is buried here. It's just, those are, I think there's 8 stones that they see. None of them appear to really have any writing on, so who knows if somebody put something there later, because they say on this farm, they do talk about, they note him in the Philadelphia Council meeting notes. They do note him as he's getting land in this area of Bethel, near a little town called Meckville. And for 4 generations, they continued to live and run this farm. So quite interesting. They were from Switzerland. They were, I believe, probably most likely, I think it was Anabaptist. So, you know, it was one of those, the Mennonite type families. And we'll go a little more into the history now. So an interesting thing of note, the original spelling, the Swiss spelling, is Bichsel. It's actually, the word Bischel was used for a rounded adze that was used to hollow out wooden troughs and spouts. So they were basically, in essence, carpenters. I believe the Bixler form, English form, is general as a woodworker, is what they were. But they were Anabaptists, Mennonites, and in Switzerland they actually suffered with quite a bit of religious persecution. They had a number of people in Bern for that family, 6 of his brethren during the latter part of 1537 and part of 1538 that were executed for their faith being different. And I would assume that it was the Catholic religion that was doing that. Just because it's either them or a different type of Protestant that was doing it of some sort. And it seems like they had quite a few of them. They were going through that, and then finally decided they'd had enough. And in the early 1700s, the first of the families to migrate were John and Christian Bixler, who settled near York and Hanover, Pennsylvania, about 1725. A third brother is said to have moved later to Virginia, and then you started seeing in the early 1800s a number that went out to western Pennsylvania and Ohio. So this family has quite a bit of history from that area. It's an area, the Pennsylvania area and over into Ohio, where Mennonites are quite populous. So it makes sense that these are the areas that they would go into. And they eventually started changing their name, like the whole idea of Englishing up your name. With being in America, they changed the spelling to some form of the name Bixel, Bixel. So there are several different types of the spellings. They're also found as far over in Bern, Indiana. So I would assume that's in recognition of Bern, Switzerland. So quite a bit of history. It's haven't found a ton, but it's cool seeing the first of these settlers come in and just knowing where their history. And Peter Bixler was one of the very first, because he came over on the ship Friendship, and it was about a 4-month journey, and then was in Philadelphia, got his land, and then went out there and took his family out there and did quite well for himself and is remembered today. It's neat that they put this stone in there, I think in 1985, the Bixler family, to remember their ancestors. So as always, I want to say thank you for coming along, visiting this little cemetery and remembering these people in their past.
I just want to say thank you for watching the video. If you could please like and subscribe. If you haven't already done so, that would be great. And we also have a Facebook page. We have an Instagram page. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a Patreon. There are ways of contacting us at thehometownhistorian@gmail.com, and also via mail at P.O. Box 143, Annville, Pennsylvania 17003. All that information is on the descriptions of each video and also in the about for the channel. So thank you once again, and we'll see you all about town.